Hello all, this is Vijendra Gaikwad and I hope all are doing well. Today we are going to see about the concept of unit testing. This concept is related to software testing or software quality testing and assurance. Unit testing is basically applicable whenever we are developing or coding an application. So the main objective of unit testing is to isolate a section of the code and verify its correctness. Now, this section can be any small piece of code taken from your software application. In case of many procedural languages, it may be an individual function, commonly called as a method in case of Java, or any procedure. The main goal of unit testing is to isolate each part of your program and show that the individual parts are correctly functioning. Unit testing is usually performed at the developer's end because it is a simultaneous activity which is to be done at the time of developing our software application. We have many tools that are used for unit testing, one of which is JUnit, and today we are going to see how to unit test our program by using the same JUnit tool. So it is freely available tool for testing purpose. Generally, it is used for testing the programs which are created in Java language, and it will provide us with some assertions to identify test methods. This tool tests data first and then inserted in the piece of the code. Now, whenever we have to, uh, firstly, we have to unit test at that point, our class should be firstly written. So, I am using a NetBeans IDE for creating a Java project. Generally, for that, we go to File, New Project, and then we will select a Java application, provide the name for that application, and just finish that task. So, by the similar way, I have created a project here as sample proj. You may observe it in the projects menu. In that, by default, a package is created with the name of the project itself. Here you can observe it. Now, we will right click on it, select new, and then Java class and create a Java program as we do it normally. Herein, for demonstration, I have created a couple of functions in my Java class, which are add and subtract. So what these two functions are doing, they are accepting two strings, converting the two strings into their equivalent integers, and then finally we are returning the addition of those two integers from this add function. So obviously we expect strings of integers to be passed as argument to this add function so that we can convert them into corresponding integer values. Similarly, we have a subtract function which is going to accept the same two string integer strings, and we are going to compute uh, the difference between between those two values and return that difference. So simple two functions we have taken for demonstration. Likewise, your Java program can have any other functions, and by creating a test class for this particular my code class, we are going to check whether each of the function or each of the method present in this class are behaving as per our desired expectation. In order to test these functions or methods, we will simply right click on our mycode.java file, and in the tools below we have an option of create or update tests. So in case we have created a test class for this mycode.java file, in that case it will update it. But here we don't have any test class, so we'll simply be creating one. As you can observe, it automatically appends the word test to our class name. So this is a test class which we are creating. For which class? My code. And it also specifies the package in which this test class will be created. But this package will be created under the test packages. Like here, mycode.java was created under the source packages in a subfolder or a subpackage called as sample project. Similarly, all the test classes will be created under this main test package, in which we will be it will be automatically creating a package called as sample project. So that is all. We need not change any of these settings for now. We'll simply click OK, and you will find that in under our test package again sample proj sub package is created, and in that my code test.java file is created. Now if you see my code java dot my code test.java file, in that you will observe there are a few functions. These functions are generally used for testing purpose. So this class is having a constructor. So whatever initializations we need to do before this test class is executed, those we can put in inside this constructor. Then we have a before class annotation. Now whatever things we have to do before this test is executed, or this test class is executed, whatever arrangements we have to make, we can specify them in this. For example, there can be some files which are required to be opened when we are testing it, right? So those tasks can be mentioned in this annotation before class. Next is after class. So again, whichever activities are to be performed just before this test class is terminated, those activities will be specified in this teardown class, which will be performed after the test class is executed. Finally, what all we want to concentrate is this test annotation. Under this test annotation, you will find that there is a test function automatically created for our add function. Similarly, under the same test annotation, we will find that there is a test function created for our subtraction function present in our mycode.java file. So it automatically creates a testing function and creates a couple of variables of the required type, right? So it finds out that add function has two arguments, and if we have to test that add function, we will require two string variables whose value we are going to pass to the add function. So here, as we decided, we are going to check it for addition of integers. So as strings, I will have to pass uh, two integers which will be uh, stored in S1 and S2. Right? For example, I'll take 8 and 10. Okay. Next, automatically, uh, they have created an object of the my code class, and the object name is instance. With this instance object, they have called the add function of my code class and passed s1 and s2 as argument. And rightly so, because add is expecting a set of string arguments. Okay. Next that we want to concentrate is we are expecting some result from this add function. So what is that expected result? It should be an addition of the string integers that we are passing. So its addition according to our input should be 18, right? So that is our expected result. And whatever actual output this add function call is going to return, or the add function is going to return, that output will be stored in the result variable over here. Now we have to check whether the expected result and the actual result are matching or not. Are they same or not? For that, they have already kept an assert equal function. Now what this assert equals function does, it compares these two values, and if these two values are matching, in that case this test function will pass. Otherwise, if these two values are not matching, then this test function will be declared as failed. Okay, so this is a additional part, these two lines that we have to always eliminate from the default test function, right? Okay, similarly we will also provide some input for the test sub function, maybe 10 and 5. So our expected result is 10 minus 5, and we put 5 as the expected result. Again, we'll remove the default code present in our test function, and now we are expecting a result of 5 from the subtract function when we pass s1 and s2 to it. So for testing purpose, we have to simply run this test class. In order to do that, we'll firstly save it, click right click on the test file and select the option of run file, as we usually run our Java classes. So it will take some time. Yes, you can see that 100% tests have passed and both test functions have executed and resulted in the expected output. So that is why it is showing 100% tests are passed. For example, if I change this expected result as 15, expected result is 15, but what add function is going to return me is definitely 18. And if I again run this file and check, then I will observe that only 50% of my tests are passing. And it also shows which test function has failed. So you can explore a bit. It says that test add function failed, expected was 15, but what, sorry, yeah, expected was 15, but what we got in actual is 80. That is why this test failed. So that was uh, a small explanation about how to use JUnit for unit testing as far as Java applications are concerned. Another thing, your add function is going to return some integer value, isn't it? Because it is going to perform addition of integers, and whatever is the addition, it is going to return it. Now we are expected to pass s1 and s2, and s1 and s2 should always be integer strings. They cannot be character strings, because integer strings can be converted into integer by using the parseInt method of our integer class, right? What if I pass a character string in any of these variables? Will that string get converted into integer? No, certainly not. Because if I pass a string abc in s1, I cannot have a uh, I cannot have a corresponding integer for ABC, right? I cannot map that with this method. So in that case, there will be an exception generated from this add function. What that exception will be? It will be a number format exception, isn't it? So if we are testing this add function and the add function is going to generate a number format exception, then we need to keep our test function prepared for such a situation, isn't it? So for that, in my test class, I will have to tell this test function that yes, when we call add function, if we get a integer value or if we pass two integer strings, then we are expecting an integer value. But if we pass any character string, in that case we may expect a number format exception. So here what we will do is we will simply pass a string in S1 and that string will be ABC, right? S2 is carrying 10, right? So obviously add function will generate a number format exception and that we have to handle over here. So besides the test annotation, we will give a expected attribute expected equals to number format exception dot class. Yeah, that is what we are expecting from this add function. In case a number format exception is generated from the add function, we have to make our test function ready to capture that number format exception. Understood? So what it suggests, what this entire thing, what we have made change to, what it suggests is even if there is a exception raised from any of the methods that we are testing, in that case, if the test function is capable of handling that exception, then the test function will generate a positive or a successful output. So in that case, for example, if I remove this part, right, and I'm passing ABC as my first parameter to the add function, in that case, if I run the file, you may observe that it is showing again 50% of the tests have passed. And what has caused the error is, yeah, this test add function caused an error for the input string ABC. And what is that? It has generated a number format exception for us. Got this? Now, uh, as a corrective action, we are making our test function ready to handle such an exception. And once we run this, we see that yes, 100% tests have passed. Both the tests have passed. Understood? So, this is the way we have to test every method of our program. Generally, when we make a Java application, we may have more than one classes and each of those classes will have their own methods. While unit testing them, we have to create a test class for each of those classes. Like here I have mycode.java class. So I created a test class called as mycodetest.java for it, right? Similarly, if I had a class mycode1.java, I will have to create a test class for it separately by following the same process. Right click on it, tools, and select create or update test option. So a new test class will be created for that particular .java file. Understood? Now I can run each of those test classes individually like I did for this particular test class. I will right click, I will run the test. What it will do, it will run or it will check the behavior of the functions present in its corresponding source class, isn't it? But there may happen that yes, I have checked each of the test class individually, I have run them individually, but I want to know the result collectively. So in that case, we have to create a test suite. How to create a test suite? We will simply right click on the sub package in my test package in which my uh, all the test classes are present. So here the test class is present in sample proj sub package. So I will right click on that. I will select new and I'll select a test suite. Here I will have to give some name to the test suite, and once I click finish, you will observe that a new class is created under the test package, that is new test suite. What it has, you may see here. So what we are doing from this test suite, we are executing all the test classes that we have for a particular project. So here we have only one test class. So it is mentioned that my code test dot class file we have to run from this test suite. If we have more than one test classes, then all of them will be specified here with commas. Understood this? And again, you may see that my code test, this class test class is present in this sub package, which is this one. You can see it. Understood? So very simple. If I have to run all the test classes at once, I will have to create a test suite and then simply run that single test suite to see the behavior of all the functions or methods present in all the test classes. So I will right click and I will run the test suite, and I will see that uh, the result of the test suite over here. So since I am having only one test class and that test class is having only two test functions corresponding to the to add and subtract functions in my code class. So I hope that is clear. Another thing, it is not mandatory that I should have a single test function for a particular uh, function in my class. So if I have a add function in my actual source Java file, I can have more than one test functions for the same add function. So here I had only one test function for the add method, but I can have more than one test functions. So what I'll do, in order to have a second test function, I will simply paste that part over here. Simply copy it and paste it under the same annotation at the rate test. I will have to mention some different uh, function name, test function name, but what whose functionality it is going to check? It is going to check the functionality of the same add function, isn't it? So here we may check some another possibility that the add function is going to generate any other exception, or whether it is working according to our requirements, whatever the requirements may be. For example, you have a banking application. In that case, if you have a banking application, there will be separate functions for withdraw, deposit, and to get the balance, current balance, isn't it? So you will have to check number of possibilities from each of those functions in different scenarios. In that case, you will have to devise such type of different test functions for each of the activity that we perform in our banking Java application. Understood this? So that was all. I think this you must have followed this particular topic of unit testing with the help of JUnit tool in Java. So thank you for following this video. If there is any doubt, you may later ask me. Thank you.